Okay, hello everybody. This is Jeff Beckstrom with GG Interactive, and I've got another developer interview online for you. Today I'm speaking with Arnold Rauers. He's in Germany, and he's online with me today. I guess it's tonight for you out there, Arnold, with Tiny Touchtales. How are you doing?
Hi Jeff, thanks for having me. I'm fine. It's almost 17 o'clock.
Tell me about Tiny Touchtales.
Tiny Touchtales is basically the synonym, I would say, that I work as. I'm still not a programmer. I always call myself a designer, but yeah, since 2012, we released our first game on iOS, and since then I'm actively working on Tiny Touchtales part-time. And in the beginning of 2014, I actually took all my money that I had saved up from working in bigger companies and became a classic indie developer. And since then, we are trying to somehow get into our niche.
Now, you talk about that first game you released. If I'm correct, that's Super Zombie Tennis.
That's the first one.
Now, how can I get a hold of a copy of Super Zombie Tennis?
Yeah, I think Zombie Tennis is still available on iOS, but actually we haven't updated it in like years. It's been some time since this game was done.
So I guess one of my first questions would be, what kind of advice would you give to a high school student that is either learning game design or learning programming today that wants to make a game? What should they be doing right now?
So I think if you want to make a game, you should just start making a game. I mean, with all the tools that are available right now, and I'm not only talking about Unity, but they are really cool, for example, more easier tools, I would say, because I always tell the story with the coming from design and then going into programming. I, for example, started out with a cool tool called Stencyl, and Stencyl is a visual programming tool where you don't even have to have a specific language knowledge or something. It's more like a Lego block-like structure that you put together, and different type of game engines that you can use to basically use visual programming, which is always nice if you are not a programmer in the first place and just want to start out doing something. And on the other hand, I mean, the internet is full of tutorials and even samples that you can use and take a look at. And what I also did was starting out with doing really simple stuff, like having a character, I don't know, that is like moving through, I don't know, an empty screen or something, and then work your way up from there at small parts of the game. And yeah, really think small in the beginning, and then you can approach the more bigger ideas that you have.
How much of that did you learn in school, and how much of it have you learned on your own?
Oh yeah, I've learned nothing in school because my school education was actually in design. I did a communication design study where you actually do interface design, so website design or a screen design, but you don't learn coding in any kind of way. It's really a design study. And then from there on, actually, as I said, I started with these easier visual tools where I just learned it from doing it, basically. So I just started out doing stuff, and from there on I could understand, let's say, logic and what a object-oriented approach of programming is, just from doing it and just from learning online, and then could actually start out with real coding.
These kids that are in school today and actually getting specific game design and specific computer science and programming classes, they're pretty lucky.
Yeah, right. I actually, if I could go back, I would not study the same thing. I also would directly go into design or development or something more closely related to games.
Sure. So let's actually jump into your latest game here, Card Crawl, which I have to admit I have started playing and really enjoyed. So we can see powered by Unity here, and then the opening screen. So Arnold, I'd like to get students to understand kind of a scope of what goes into making these games. How long did it take you to just make this opening sequence here, from the original design and drawing and everything to the animations that we have here and everything set up?
Yeah, right. So in terms of scope, the time it took to get to the first intro scene was about, I don't know, 5 months maybe, because the intro scene is something we do at the end. For the animation itself, it took maybe in Unity it took maybe 3 to 4 days to get everything like it is. So you had to obviously import all the graphics, and the graphics had to be created in the first place. So this took also some time. That's hard to tell because and some days Max is doing really fast stuff, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But all in all, maybe a week of full time from both of us combined, I would say.
Okay. So over the course of 5 or 6 months, you got everything drawn, you got all of the music, and then once you had all of the music in place and all of the different visual assets and graphics in place, it was essentially a full week of you working full time in Unity to actually put together this opening animation. And interestingly enough, this opening animation is actually the last thing you did in making the game.
Yeah, because we yeah, right, because we try to iron out the gameplay first, so everything that is related to the game itself, and then we slowly started integrating the menus. So all the stuff that you see that is basically not the game, and yeah, from all those menus that I mean, there are not that much menus, but there are quite a few like smaller things that we had to add in terms of interface. From all that stuff, the intro animation was actually the last thing that we did.
Be sure to catch our next video as Arnold tells us more about developing Card Crawl and I play through the game.